Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with another exciting update for my No Pan Left Behind. I am actually pre-filming this one a week early because I've already hit my goal on all 3 palettes that I rolled into this project last month. So I thought it's better to get on top of it and film this early so I can introduce some new palettes. And then hopefully by next month I can have a really good update, because I'm not sure how many more palettes I will necessarily focus on for the next week, apart from the ones that I'm rolling in. So I'd rather share them now when they're still basically untouched than in a week from now. So hope that's all okay with you guys, but I'm excited to jump into the video and share with you what I've been working on. So I'm excited to share with you the palettes I've been working on, but before I jump into the video itself, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So we have 3 palettes that I've been working on for the past month, and they are right here. So I've been working on the Jackie Aina palette from Anastasia. I also worked on the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. And then lastly, the Mountain Trail palette from Sydney Grace. First up on my list is the Huda Beauty palette. This one is definitely more of a spring tone palette than it is an autumn palette, but it's one that I hadn't reached for fully No Pan Left Behind yet this year, so I wanted to roll it in. So yeah, this is the palette here. I had already reached for a lot of the shades out of this project, but I think I had about half the palette left to reach for. And as you can see, since I'm filming this early, I was able to hit my goal and I have reached for the remaining of this palette. I honestly can't remember any of the looks that I did necessarily. I think I used to incorporate this palette a lot with other looks that I was doing, so I didn't really do many looks specifically with this palette. And this is a palette that I'm not really sure how I feel about. I know it's a cool classic. I know so many people love it, but I don't know, I'm not super excited about it. This is one that I'm definitely going to consider on the shopping block next year. I do have a plan for an eyeshadow project next year, which I have been hinting a little bit, and a video will be coming. I think actually when this video is up, I already would have mentioned that in a video. I did post a planning to pan video. I think it might have been the video before this, or maybe 2 videos before this. I don't know. But anyway, in there I discussed an idea for an eyeshadow project plan for next year. So let me know what you think of that one. And I will definitely dive deeper into all my palette, but this is one that I will consider on the shopping block kind of. So yeah, I like the palette, but it's really not my favorite in my collection. Then we have the Mountain Trail palette from Sydney Grace. This is a beautiful green tone palette looking like this. And it is like a green tone palette, but it actually isn't mega green. It's very earthy tones, and it's a very kind of neutral tone palette. So if you are nervous about greens, if you're not sure you can pull them off, this is a perfect palette I would say to use, because you do have a lot more mustardy tones, and the greens that are in here are very wearable. So this palette I have also reached for No Pan Left Behind. I'm actually wearing this one on my eyes today. So I am wearing all of the shades actually on my eyes today from this palette. I have topped my lid shade over with an indie shadow from Terra Moons. It's the shade M51. And then on my inner corner, I do have my highlighter on top as well. But let's go through the palette. So I'm wearing these 2 greens here on my outer corner. I'm wearing this one first and then this one to blend it out. I am then wearing this shade here on my inner crease, and then this one to blend that one out. And that's kind of the mattes. Then I do have, for the shimmers, I have this shade here on my outer corner. I have this one on the center of my lid. I have this one here on my inner corner and right here. I used 2 Earth as a liner. And then I also used this shade here, which is the shade Rustic, on my lower lash line. So I used all of those shades. It's a beautiful palette. I love every look that I create with this one. I just wanted to use every single shadow in this palette so I could complete No Pan Left Behind. And yeah, I used to show you what kind of look you can get this palette. Like I said, I did make it a little bit more impactful and green though with that topper shade. Before that, it's really not super green, intense green. And this is definitely a palette that I would easily wear to the office. I wouldn't think twice about it, wearing color, because it is very, very wearable to me. And I do kind of consider this one more of a neutral palette than I do a green palette. So yeah, that is the Mountain Trail palette. And again, I have hit my goal on this one. Then the last palette that I have is my Jackie Aina palette, which looks like this. This is a perfect autumnal palette. It's a really, really popular one again in the makeup community. But again, this is a palette that I'm not sure about. I love half the palette. This half here I love, 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 love. These tones right here are so like warm and rustic, like so nice. I love them. But these more kind of reddy, pink, purple tones are just not my favorite. So this is a palette that's already on the shopping block this year, and I have already like duped this out with my collection in my like shopping block do I need them video. So yeah, I love the quality in this palette, but color story isn't my favorite. But I have reached my goal of no pan left behind. I had reached for some of the shades previously when I was working on the shade Sam in my Panels eyeshadows, but the remainder of the palette I have reached for this past month. It's a beautiful palette, and if you like this color story, I definitely recommend it. I don't even know if you can get this palette anymore though. It might have been discontinued, not sure. But yeah, the quality is really there, but it's just like those shades here. It's really like these shades here, like the purple and the red. The pink I do like. I don't really see the point of it in the palette though, but it's like those four specifically that is really throwing me off with this palette. But yeah, that is the Jackie Aina palette, and again I have reached my goal on this one. So before I roll in my new 3 palettes, I will cover what I have actually hit my goal on for the last month apart from these 3 palettes. And it's not too much. I only have 4 palettes that I've hit no pan left behind on in the past month, but let's just cover them quickly. So first up we had the Mercury Retro palette, that is done. Then we had the Jackie Aina palette, also done. Then third up we had a palette that I wasn't working on this project, but I've been working on another project. I actually had 2 shades in this palette in my Panels eyeshadows, and that is the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette, which is another beautiful like autumnal kind of tone palette. And that one I also hit no pan left behind on, so that is the 3rd palette. And then finally we have the palette I'm wearing today, which is Sydney Gray's Mountain Trail palette. So I did hit goal on 4 more palettes, which brings me to a grand total this year of 44 palettes reached no pan left behind out of my 52. So that brings me a percentage of 84.62%, which is really good. And it also means that I only had 8 palettes left to reach my goal on before the end of the year, which I think I should be able to do, especially considering I already hit like 4 palettes this month. If I can keep that up, I will be able to hit my goal. So let's talk about what I'm introducing. First up, we do have another Anastasia palette. I'm replacing one collab palette with another, and that is the Carly Bible palette. This one released almost at the same time as the Jackie Aina. I think this one released slightly after or slightly before, but they were very, very close together. This one looks like this, which is more of a kind of cool tone palette on top, and then it has a few more warm tones here at the bottom. But I think this one is a very good, like, cooler months palette. I have actually been doing more cool tone looks recently, so the top row will really, really suit that. And then I feel like with these, I can create some really nice, like, warm autumnal looks. So this is a palette. I actually haven't reached for this one at all. It's brand new to my collection this year. I got it from my friend. So I haven't reached for any of the shades, like, ever. So I'm very, very excited to play around with this palette, to see what I think about it and the quality. So that is the first palette that I'm introducing. Another palette that is in the same boat, in the sense of that I haven't reached for it at all, and I got it from my friend, or bought it off my friend rather, is my Pat McGrath Divine Rose 2 palette, which looks like this. This is not the most like autumnal palette, I would say. It does have a few shades that lean maybe a little bit more autumnal, but it's, you know, actually it is quite autumnal, because like the undertones in here, even though they are like pinks, I feel like they are more like autumn pinks rather than like spring pinks. But I didn't really think that I would have introduced this palette now. I think this is a palette that I would have rather had in like the spring to summer period, but I only got this palette like I think in the spring, and I didn't think to reach for it then. But I am excited to play around with this one. Obviously Pat McGrath is a really, really expensive brand, and I'm excited to play around with the formula in here to see what I think of this specific palette, because again I haven't reached for it. I'm very excited to reach for the special shades, which are these 4 here, especially this one there, and use the palette overall. It does look quite intimidating with the bright pinks, but like I feel like if you remove these 2 here, like it's more of a wearable palette. So yeah, I'm sure that I'll be able to reach for this one quite a lot, and that is the second palette that I'm bringing in. Then the last palette that I'm bringing in is a smaller one. It's definitely going to be one that's easier to hit my goal on. I can do this one in one look easy. And that is my Charlotte Tilbury quad. This is the Exaggerate Bigger Brighter Eye Filter quad. It looks like this. This one is one that I think a lot of people have. It's one that is often like a free gift with purchase. That's how I got mine as well. So I didn't actually pick this one up, but it's a really, really stunning palette. It's also very reminiscent in the undertones to the new Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. So I'm excited to play around with this one. But again, this is going to be an easy one. I just haven't reached for it yet this year. So yeah, I think I should be able to throw this one out easy. I can use it as like a going to the office look, done, one day, finished. But yeah, I want to introduce it into this project anyway, especially because the other two palettes I feel like are slightly more challenging. They have quite a few shades, and I guess it's not like massive palette. We have one 14-pan palette and one 10-pan palette, but there are a few pops of colors here and there. So I think this one will be a good companion. So yeah, those are the 3 palettes that I'm introducing. And that will be it for my update. Actually, before I wrap up the video, let me just cover the palettes that I have left to reach for No Pan Left Behind, just if you're interested. I won't pull them out because I haven't prepped that, but I'm just going to read them out in case you are wondering. So I have the Anastasia Sultry palette. I have the Anastasia Collie Bible palette. I have the Pat McGrath Subliminal palette, which is that kind of like the first one that she released with the blue shades. We have the Divine Rose 2, which I am working on this month. We have the Charlotte Tilbury Filter Quad, which is the Exaggerates quad I just talked about. We have the BH Cosmetic Blueberry Muffin palette. We have the Odin's Eye Elva palette. And then lastly, we have the Huda Beauty Eternal Eclipse palette. So I'm hoping to reach for at least 4 of these for the next update. And then I will have 4 left for the finale, which will be in December. And I think I should be able to do that easily. I'm hoping to maybe even get 5 palettes done for next month, because I do want to reach for more of my eyeshadows. But yeah, that is it for today, you guys. I really hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye, guys.